Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the previous insert, we talked about cereals for breakfast, and now I want to go on to other common carbohydrates that we may use not only at breakfast but during the day. And bread, for example. People often ask me, bread is bad, bread is fattening, is this true? Now for me, what I find, anything that's fresh or freshly baked for the day, that would be a better option than something that sits on the shelf. So a lot of the items that we find on the shelves in the supermarket, whether it's bottled, tinned foods, and even different types of bread, that has been baked, for example, at a central factory. It then has to be transported to the supermarket or to any cafe or store that we're going to purchase it from. So from the time it was baked to the time it was actually taken to the shelf, and then it still needs to sit for another a day, 2, maybe even 3 days for us to buy it. So for it to last through that process of not only traveling but sitting on the shelf, it does require a lot of preservatives and in some case flavorants as well. And if you had to go to the supermarket, how many different types of breads you get, it's actually confusing to make a choice. So it's very important to make a healthy choice and to be aware when we are purchasing something, when was it actually manufactured? Does it grow? Is that in its original form? If it isn't, how close is it to its original form as possible? And yes, we have different types of breads. And most of our bread, for example, be it white, brown, or even the whole wheat bread, if you had to feel it in terms of the lightness, and I have a slice of bread here, in terms how does it feel heavy or does it feel light? What does it contain? And normally if it's an unrefined bread, it may have nuts and seeds, or what's common these days is low GI. Some of you may not be familiar with this term, but GI means glycemic index, and it actually indicates how long it takes for a particular food, particularly a carbohydrate, how long does it take for it to be digested. So the longer it takes for a carbohydrate food to be digested, the longer it's going to give you that attention span or energy for that period of time. So would you prefer something that's going to be digested within half an hour or an hour? Or do you want to actually eat something that's going to sustain you, and particularly your child, for 2 to 3 hours? So here again, asking the question, what I'm eating now, is it actually nourishing me? And is it benefiting me? So in terms of breads, I find the heavier a bread is, so when you had to feel it with your hands, the heavier, the longer it will take to be digested. And you could very easily do an experiment. You can take a slice of normal white or brown bread, and then take a slice of a low GI bread, and time yourself how long it takes to actually chew each of these. And what do you think the answer would be, or what conclusion do you think you would come to? It's definitely that the heavier bread will take longer to be digested. So what we also smear on the bread is very important. Are we putting butter, jam, peanut butter? What is it that we actually adding onto that bread? Because that will also then affect how long it takes to be digested. A lovely breakfast or even snack to have is baked beans on a slice of toast, because our beans contain fiber and they take long to be digested. And that combination with a slice of bread is really very healthy, because you're getting a carbohydrate that's going to take long to be digested, and your beans are an excellent source of protein and fiber. Now we do find lots of children these days suffering with constipation, and that's what they're lacking, is fiber, or foods rich in fiber. So they're not eating enough fruit or vegetables or anything that's wholesome or whole grain. And so it takes very, very long for these children, or they battle with going to the toilet. And it's becoming, and then if together with that, if they're not hydrating themselves with the correct fluid, which is water, then they have even more problems. So it's really important to ensure that the type of bread, for example, you're giving your child, or the type of carbohydrate, is actually going to benefit them, nourish them, and keep them full for a longer time. So yes, baked beans on toast is a very good breakfast option. Until next time, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.